The ground trembles first. It is a language older than words, a deep, percussive grammar that every living thing on this ancient earth understands. For the clan of the painted stones, it is a summons. Kalen, the shaman whose face is a roadmap of ochre and ash, places a palm flat against the vibrating soil. His eyes close. The rhythm is slow, ponderous, a heartbeat the size of a hut. It is the rhythm of finality. He rises, his voice a dry rasp against the whisper of the wind through the cycads. A great one walks. There is no debate. Spears are gathered, water skins filled, children pulled from their games. This is not a hunt, but a pilgrimage, the most sacred rite in their brutal existence, a cornerstone of their hominid history. They move out from the relative safety of their cliffside caves, a line of 37 small, bipedal figures, shadows in the shadow of a god. The god is an Argentinosaurus, the last of its herd. The others fell seasons ago to a pack of Giganotosaurus, but this one, ancient and scarred, endures. Its hide is a landscape of grey, wrinkled terrain, crisscrossed with healed wounds, each a story of survival. It moves with a geological slowness, its head swaying high above the canopy, a lonely moon in a green sky. The clan keeps its distance, a respectful orbit around a dying star. They know this journey. A story passed down through generations of early humans. When a great one feels the cold breath of its final sleep, it walks the long path to the Valley of Slumber, a place where the spirits of all giants gather. To follow is to be blessed, to witness the quiet, dignified end of life on a scale they can barely comprehend. This animism is their shield against the chaos of prehistoric life. For 3 days they follow. They cross shallow rivers in the beast's wake, the water still cloudy from its passage. They scavenge the massive, 3-toed tracks for overturned roots and startled lizards. At night they sleep near the colossal shape as it rests, its monumental breathing a shield against the smaller, quicker horrors of the dark. No velociraptor pack dares approach a living mountain. During the journey, Kalen performs the rituals. He draws the shape of the long-necked beast in the dirt, tracing its path towards a sacred destination. He whispers to the children to witness the final walk is to drink from the river of endings, and in its reflection, see the beginnings of our own spirit. They are learning that not everything in their world is about the next meal or the sharpest stone. Some things are about the soul. On the 4th morning, a new smell reaches them on the wind, damp earth, decay, and something stagnant and heavy. The air grows thick with biting flies. The Argentinosaurus quickens its pace, a new energy in its stride, and a low, resonant call echoes from its vast chest. It has found the way home. The Valley of Slumber reveals itself not with the hush of sacred silence, but with the stench of a butcher's yard. They crest a final, windswept ridge and stop, a line of silent figures paralyzed by the vista below. The valley floor is a sprawling alluvial plain, a silty trap laid by the river over millennia. And it is filled with bones, the skeletons of giants, half swallowed by the mud, lie entangled heap. Vertebrae the size of boulders and dribs like the curved timbers of some impossible longhouse are bleached white under the oppressive sun. This is a tomb, a place of slaughter. It is a scene that would one day be the dream of paleontology, a perfect tableau of predator and prey, a fossil record being made in real time. The Argentinosaurus they followed does not see this. It only hears the low, mournful calls of its own kind, echoes trapped in the valley, and smells the sweet, cloying rot of water-logged vegetation, a scent that promises a final, fulfilling meal. It takes its first step onto the plain, and the illusion of solid ground vanishes. The mud sucks at its colossal feet, pulling it down with a greedy, inexorable thirst. It struggles, its massive legs churning, but each movement only sinks it deeper. The clan watches in frozen horror. Kalen's chants die in his throat, his faith tamazings in the face of this grotesque reality. The truth about dinosaurs was not in his stories, but in the sucking mud and the patient terror of this place. The water in the center of the quagmire ripples. Something rises from the depths. It is not a log. It is a sail, a terrifying fan of bone and skin stretched over elongated gnaw spines, catching the light like a blood-red flag of death. The head follows, long and narrow like a crocodile's, studded with conical teeth designed not for crushing, but for holding fast against struggle. A colossal Spinosaurus, the true god of this valley, emerges from its throne of mud and water. The creature moves with an unnerving amphibious grace, its webbed feet finding purchase where the sauropod cannot. It is the architect of this deception, a master hunter that has turned geology into its primary weapon. It does not rush. It circles its trapped prey, its cold, reptilian eyes assessing the giant's exhaustion. The Argentinosaurus lets out a bellow of terror and frustration, a sound that shakes the very cliffs the humans stand upon. The Spinosaurus ignores it. This isn't a battle. It is a process. It wades closer, opens its immense jaws, and latches onto the giant's thick neck. There is no epic struggle, just a grim, hydraulic finality. The clan does not flee. They cannot. They are pinned by a revelation so profound it has become a physical weight. Their spiritual world has been devoured before their eyes. Lyra, a young huntress, is the first to break the spell. Her eyes are not on the dying giant, but on the terrain. She sees the subtle game trails on the far side of the valley, the only viable paths that hug the treacherous edge of the basin. And she sees the Spinosaurus as not alone. In the shallower waters, smaller shapes move, younger predators learning their trade. They are not merely witnessing a death. They are standing on the precipice of the monster's kingdom, and the only way forward is through it. The spell of Kaelin's authority is broken. His myths lie dead in the mud beside the Titan, and the clan's eyes now turn to Lyra. She carries no sacred rattle, only a spear hardened by fire and a mind sharpened by the brutal calculus of this prehistoric world. She points with the spear's tip, not towards the receding cliffs of home, but along the treacherous rim of the valley. The way back is gone, she says, her voice slow and steady, cutting through the stunned silence. The beast knows we are here. To retreat is to be hunted. She is right. The Spinosaurus, having made its skill, now floats lazily in the murky water, one predatory eye fixed on the small, warm-blooded mammals huddled on its doorstep. It is patient. It has a mountain of meat to last it weeks. Hunting them would be sport. This new awareness, this grim understanding of their place in the food chain, is a turning point for these human ancestors. Their escape requires a new kind of thinking, a covenant of silence and observation. For 2 days, they become ghosts. They watch the predator. They learn its rhythms. They see how it patrols the edges of its quagmire at dawn and dusk, its massive sailor periscope of death gliding through the reeds. They map its territory in their minds, noting the narrowest crossing points, the places where solid rock gives way to treacherous silt. Their survival depends not on strength, but on the intellectual tools that define them as emerging Homo sapiens. They observe how the smaller scavengers, the swift ornithotestes, dart into steel scraps, and how the Spinosaurus tolerates them up to a point, a silent king allowing jackals at his table. This is the lesson: the tyrant has rules. The key is to learn them without paying the ultimate price. The plan they devise is born of this desperate anthropology. They will not fight the god. They will use its own kingdom against it. On the third night, under the sliver of a moon that offers just enough light to see by, they move. They tie their remaining strips of dried meat to heavy stones. Kaelin, his face now bare of ochre, his eyes hollowed by a shattered worldview, leads the small party tasked with the diversion. He hurls the baited stones far into the shallow eastern reef. The splash is loud in the nocturnal quiet. The sound draws the attention of the smaller predators, the tyrant's courtiers. A feeding frenzy begins, a chaos of snapping jaws and territorial hisses. It is the perfect distraction. As the great beast turns its massive head toward the commotion, Lyra leads the rest of the clan, the children held tight, their mouths covered along the western edge of the basin. They move from one island of solid ground to the next, their feet sinking into the damp earth, the stench of decay thick in their nostrils. Every rustle of leaves, every croak of a prehistoric amphibian, sends a spike of adrenaline through them. They are trespassers in a monster's den, their continued existence measured in silent footsteps. They are not heroes. They are prey, armed only with the audacity of their intelligence. This journey through the valley of death is more than an escape. It is the brutal, agonizing birth of a new awareness, a new way for early humans to perceive their world not as a mystical stage, but as a merciless system of cause and effect, a system they must learn to master if they are to survive. They do not look back. The Valley of Slumber is left behind, a monument to their broken innocence and the savage truth of prehistoric life. The clan that emerges from the shadow of the Spinosaurus is not the same one that followed a giant on a holy pilgrimage. Kale no longer speaks of the spirits of the great ones. He speaks of the currents of the river, the stability of the ground, the direction of the wind. Lyr's pragmatism has become their new faith. They have traded comforting myths for the cold, hard currency of observation and foresight, a transaction that marks a pivotal moment in the ascent of their species. Their journey was not just through a valley, but through an evolutionary choke point. They entered as creatures of belief and emerged as creatures of knowledge. This is the story of how we, their distant descendants, began. It is the chronicle of our audacious refusal to be merely food, to accept the world as it is. In their silent, terrified footsteps across a predator's hunting ground, we find the first, faint echo of the engineer's blueprint, the scientist's equation, and the strategist's plan, the cognitive tools we would one day use to inherit the earth from the very titans that haunted our nightmares. Our survival was never guaranteed. It was earned in moments like these, paid for in blood, terror, and the shattering of beautiful life. The sound of cracking ice is not always made by a frozen river.